All right, so this ground position, this variable called ground position, right? That's what the VAR stands for. It's a variable. And what we're basically saying is instead of typing in this number 400 everywhere that it needs to go, we're going to type in the word ground position. And then wherever that word ground position is in the code, it's going to put in a number 400 or 300 or 500 or whatever you happen to put in as this number. Now, from a sort of artistic standpoint, ground position is referring to this right here, right? We want to put the ground here. That's where the character's going to walk. It's where other things might come in. And the first part where it shows up is right here, right? It says alien.x, meaning left and right, is at 500, so he's centered in the frame. Alien.y, ground position, is I put it at 400, which puts him close to the bottom. That's in my particular scene. But why use this word, right? Like, just put in a number 400. Well, the problem is that this is not the only place where this shows up. The ground position is going to refer to when anything is at that ground level, or even if it's a variation of it. Some things might be ground position minus 50. Others might be ground position minus 30. So as soon as you were to ever add any other characters, you would have them all similarly having to call up that ground position. And even on the one character, in dealing with the jump, we have to reference where the ground is. We have to tell it when it's above the ground, it's in the middle of jumping. And this complicates things very fast. Instead of having one place where you have to change a number, you might have several. And what happens when, you show this to your client and they're like, oh, it's great, I love it, oh, he's so cute, except could he be 20 pixels higher? We don't like how close he is to the ground. Well, if we didn't use this, if we just stuck the number 400 in everywhere, you would have to go and find every place where it says 400. But if you do this instead, and you define this word ground position as being equal to 400, then I can change it to 300. Only here. And it changes it everywhere. And now it'll still work. It'll jump, right? It'll still do everything I need it to do. Except now the ground will be considered higher. If I had multiple characters, it would shift all of the action up 100 pixels or however many. So this is one of these things where you put it in for your own sanity to make yourself flexible, so that when a client comes to you and says, I need all of this changed, you say, well, okay, but then you go home and you just change one number and it's fine. But the idea of a variable is actually kind of important, whether it's here or, I don't know, HTML, anywhere really. It's going to be something that comes up again. So this is the one we went over specifically. All right, but again, you'll find that some of that information repeated in the book. All right, so that was what we went over in class. There is one thing I wanted to talk to you specifically about, if I can navigate there real quick. And I had mentioned in your Blackboard that because you had multiple characters. Let's see, Dropbox. And which one to use, and you were kind of going back and nope, not that. You're kind of going back and forth between a simpler cat and there's a simpler cat and dog, and then there was your sort of biped character. Right, there we go. There's one. And there's the other. Right? So they each actually kind of present their own difficulties. This guy would be kind of the easiest to set up and to do certain things with. Like a walk, you could just have his little feet go, do 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 do, and the body would bounce up and down. The only problem is I don't know what other actions he could do, unless he maybe uses his tail or something. I mean, that would be up to you, but some things would be much easier with him. Others would be, he's very limited, as opposed to these guys might be hard to move side to side. You wouldn't be the only person with a front-facing character shuffling side to side, and I mean, hell, if you wanted to, you could roll him over like an egg. There are some options. This guy right here definitely has a lot of different things he could do. Animating him will be a little tricky because he's got 4 legs, and they are full legs in that they bend at the elbow, as a knee, as it were. And then this dude here, because he's a little bit more anthropomorphic and detailed, it's there's a lot less leeway that you have with how animation looks. You obviously you can do anything you want in terms of there's no limit to his actions the way there is with a giant egg that has 4 little arms, but he's got a lot of moving parts and it's a limit to how cartoony he could be. Whichever one you use is fine. It's going to present, different obstacles for you. But you can use any one of these characters and it'll work out for this game. So it'll just be up to you and how comfortable you are animating and, how much you want to, put into the animation. Let me see here. And whatever you do, you would have to separate them out into their various pieces so that they would show up on different layers. You can do that in Illustrator or in Flash, or in Flash. Because these would all come in as separate objects, and then you could just tell them to go to different pieces. It's probably easier to do it in Illustrator, but it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Alright, so I hope that helps. If you have any questions, please send me an email. And yeah, that's it.